made me better when I wasn't yours. I'm going back, I'm going back, I'm going back, I'm going back, I'm going back to who I was before. I like me better, I like me better, yeah.
What's good? What's poppin', Golden Babes? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. My name is Dominique. I am an emergency room nurse. And if you are a returning Golden Babe, then welcome back and thank you so much for tuning into another video, clicking on my face, and just coming to hang out with me. So if you have not already, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join the Golden family, because I'm sure you're going to love it over here. But if you clicked on this video, then it is because you are trying to get a job on a specific floor that you want to work on. And if you are a new grad nurse, then you've always heard that you have to work med surg straight out of nursing school, and I'm going to tell you right now that is a lie. And I'm going to teach you guys how to ace that interview so you can get the job on the floor that you want. As you guys know, I've been off of YouTube for a minute because I took NCLEX, I got a new job, and then I turned around and had to do new grad orientation. But I start on the floor tomorrow, which is Monday, and I'm really excited. And if you guys didn't catch it, I am an emergency room nurse as a new grad. So I'm going to teach you guys how to pretty much knock out this interview and get into the emergency room, get into ICU, get into L&D, and not med surg if that's not where you want to work. As I mentioned, you do not have to start out on med surg as a new grad nurse. I do not care what anyone says. As a new grad, you can enter a residency program, which is like a new grad program, and that way you get into the floor that you want to go on. But before you start out on the floor, you will have like some schooling, which I personally liked because it refreshed my memory when it came to certain skills, and it taught me a lot of new things that nursing school may have not covered. Now, of course, all new grad or residency programs, they vary. It depends on the hospital, it depends on the state, it depends on the program, so it can vary in length. It could require you to sign a contract. It just depends on, of course, that hospital's terms and regulations. So I did choose to enroll into a new grad program. Now, of course, I am paid. Let me just start there. You are paid, but again, the amount that you're paid all depends on the hospital. My new grad program, when I signed my contract, it pretty much stated I plan on working at my hospital for 2 years and they will give me education. So for instance, when I came to my hospital straight out of nursing school, I had my BLS. However, the hospital provided me with education to get my ALS, my advanced life support, my PALS, and everything like that. So that's kind of why I recommend as a new grad nurse you do enroll into a residency program. That way you're not trying to find all these different classes around your city for a ALS or a PALS or things like that. You can get everything at your hospital and you get onto the floor that you want to, because they're going to train you for that specific floor. For instance, I just finished a 2-week new grad orientation, which was, just reviewing skills and everything like that. However, if you are an ER nurse or an ICU nurse, we do have extra courses, and it's to, make sure you know how to splint. Make sure you know how, to do certain things pertaining to that floor. And there are other courses for all of the L&D nurses who are new grads. So I think that's really amazing. And that's definitely something I would recommend if you do have the option to sign up for a new grad residency program. And did I mention you get on the floor that you want to go into? Of course, there is a little bit more education. If you guys follow me on Instagram, then you know that I did have an EKG exam that I had to pass with an 84. Your girl got a 102. They just, make sure you're ready to get on that floor. It is kind of like nursing school all over again, but you are paid while you're in class, and you still get to get on the floor with the preceptor. So starting next week, I will be on the floor 2 days a week, and then I have class another 2 days a week. So I have a total of 4 days, 8 hours in class and 2 12-hour shifts. So I think it's really good. They don't just push you onto the floor. You do go in with the preceptor and everything like that. Unlike if you weren't to enroll into a new grad program, it's kind of like you're getting pushed out on the floor by yourself. and you may not be considered for a specific floor because you're not going through their new grad program. So definitely, you know, shop around in your city, look at different hospitals, see if they do offer a new grad program, and if they do, does that guarantee you a spot on a specific floor? See what everyone is offering, and don't sign the first contract that's presented to you if it's not what you want. So let's go ahead and get into these interview questions. I just wanted to do a little background on kind of how I got into the ER, because again, that is a very specialized floor. You don't know what's coming through the door, so you kind of got to know how to treat everything. And that's how I got into it, was by signing a contract and agreeing to work for my hospital for 2 years, and of course going through their new grad program, which I absolutely love. So again, this is something that I really love about the new grad program, is that they teach you and you get paid, you know, while you're sitting in class. So 10 out of 10 recommend. But let's go ahead and hop into these interview questions. Once you finally do find that hospital that may or may not have the new grad program, let's go ahead and answer their top 10 interview questions. Now, let me tell you guys the secret to acing these interviews. You want to have a strategy, and the strategy is having a toolbox full of stories, and I will get into them as I go through the questions, but just keep that in mind when I say a toolbox full of stories. You guys are literally going to be picking out stories out of your story toolbox. So let's go ahead and get into the first question. The very first question that the clinical manager or the director, whomever is interviewing you, the very first question that they're going to try and break the ice with is, tell me about yourself. Now, every single question that these interviewers, the director, the clinical manager, every single question that they're asking you is for a reason. Although it may sound very shallow, they are looking at your answer to kind of get an idea about your personality, how you can solve problems when they arise, how you are with your team members, you know, your colleagues and everything like that, because nursing does require teamwork. So every single question, I don't care how little it is, I want you guys always on guard, because they are trying to figure out who you are as a person. So the very first question, tell me about yourself. Sorry to break the ice to you, boy or girl, they don't care about your favorite hobby. They don't care about your favorite color when they ask this question. Tell me about yourself is not the time to tell me that you got 3 cats and 4 dogs at home. They don't care. Tell me about yourself is a time to literally tell them about your past work experiences and your past school experience. So I know all of this is on your resume, but you're pretty much just restating your resume. An example response would be, my name is Dominique Dooley. I just recently graduated from Palm Beach State College's nursing program, you know, and then I would tell them all about my past work experiences, the ones that pertain to you getting the job. So you don't really want to tell them about your first job at KFC back in 2016, and I use that example because that was my very first job back, I think, in 2016. That was my very first job. They don't care about that. They want to hear the ones that pertains to you getting a nursing job. So if you had a CNA job, beautiful. So of course I told them I've been a nurse extern here at your facility for a year, upstairs in neuro step down. You guys know that's where I used to work. They want to hear that type of thing. So you want to tell them about your school experiences. You want to tell them about your past work experiences, the ones that pertain to nursing. You also want to tell them where you are now. So what are you doing now? So I'm currently a nurse extern in neuro step down, and tell them where you want to be. My goal is to transition downstairs to your ER, and then you always want to end it and seal the deal with, I hope to use these skills in my new position here as an ER nurse or L&D nurse, ICU nurse. So that is your tell me about yourself. Again, they don't care that you have 18 dogs, 4 birds, and 3, I don't know, snakes. They want you to restate your resume just in a verbal way because they have your resume. So you want to basically restate that, add a little, you know, jazz to it. You can kind of add a little bit of personal things, but this is not the time to say my favorite color is purple. It's not the time. If you have, you know, a parent that was a nurse or, you know, something like that, then this is kind of the time to state that. There is another question that you could use that example where your mom is a nurse, or, you know, you've grown up around first responders and, you know, things like that. But again, they don't care about your 18 pets at home. They don't care. That is what they want to see when they ask, tell me about yourself. They want to see where you came from, where you are now, and where you hope to be. Moving on, the second question that your clinical manager or your future nurse director will ask you is, tell me about a time that a patient or customer wasn't satisfied. What did you do? How did you handle the situation? Now again, you guys, they are asking these questions to see how you problem solve, to see what your personality is. So again, we are going to have stories ready. We are going to be pulling stories out of our story toolbox. Like I said, if you watch this video, I want you guys, as you're watching it, stop and pause and think about a time, write down the details, so that way you are adding to your story toolbox. So tell me about a time that a patient or customer, because again, this may be your first nursing job, so you may have never had a patient, but if you even had a customer and your first job was at KFC and you haven't had a health professional job before, tell them about a time that a customer wasn't happy about them not getting their straw, or something was missing inside of the order. How did you handle the situation? So my story was, I had a patient that was Baker Act, and if you guys don't live here in Florida, Baker Act just means we are allowed to admit someone to the hospital, technically against their will, but we know that they need help. So like, let's say a patient who has a mental disorder, they are hurting themselves, or something like that, they don't want to go to the hospital, the police can take you to the hospital against your will. So that's what Baker Act mean, or like a suicidal patient. So I had a Baker Act patient one time that wanted to use the bathroom, but they wanted to close the door. You cannot close the door as a Baker Act patient, because you could be doing anything inside of the bathroom, unlike a patient that was admitted for, let's say, pneumonia. I'm worried about your safety, I'm worried about my safety, so you have to keep that door open. This was my story. So I told the patient that they had to keep the door open while using the bathroom, and of course they were upset. That's my dissatisfied patient. They're upset. So I told them the very first thing that I'm going to do, and this is what you want to say, I'm going to acknowledge my patient's feelings. What does this sound like? This sounds like an NCLEX question, doesn't it? I'm going to acknowledge my patient's feelings. I see you're upset, and then you're going to state what the hospital policy is. Unfortunately, you cannot close the door. It's just to keep yourself and, me safe, and, just make sure we have a safe environment. You pretty much just want to acknowledge that person's feelings and see how you can accommodate them, if you can accommodate them. And this is the trick to the question. You don't want to let the patient shut the door, because it is against hospital policy. I would be breaking the hospital policy if I let them shut the door. So tell them that I would accommodate if it's something that I can do, instead of just totally shutting the door. But you just want to explain to the patient that keeping them safe and keeping me safe is the top priority. So that is how you get around, and then you just tell them how you fix the situation. So I fixed the situation by explaining to them that, hey, I want to keep you safe, I want to keep me safe, but we cannot shut the door. I'll give you your privacy, just keep the door open for me, Of course, he was upset, he was irate, but you want to de-escalate the situation. So those are your top things to say. Acknowledge your patient's or your customer feelings. I see you're upset. De-escalate the situation, and always say, if I'm unable to, or if you were unable to, get that patient or customer to calm down, then you would climb up your chain of command. You grabbed the charge nurse, you grabbed your manager, because you saw that the patient or the customer needed a little bit more, and you want to get, your higher up involved. So that's kind of how you answer that question. And again, that question is to see how can you problem solve, because we're going to be working in the hospital. Not every patient is going to be happy. Family members are number one going to be upset. The family members, you guys will see, the family members get upset before the patient even gets upset. So They want to see how you are able to problem solve, and that's how you're able to do it. Acknowledge their feelings, de-escalate the situation, accommodate if possible. If it's not breaking the hospital policy, you can't escort a patient outside the hospital to go smoke. That is against policy. We do not encourage smoking, so I'm not going to take you outside, but what I can do is get you a nicotine patch. I can, see if I can order a nicotine patch for you. So that's what I mean. That's the thing that they want to see. Are you able to de-escalate a situation? And if you aren't, then you know to go ahead and climb up your chain of command. Question number 3 that you are going to be asked is, tell me your strengths and your weaknesses. Now, this is an old one in the book, but I'm going to tell you guys the little trick to this. So it's so easy to find your strengths, right? But you guys, we always stumble when it comes to finding our weaknesses. And I'm going to tell you guys what to say. So the very first strength that you can use, and you don't have to use these, you can literally Google strengths to mention during an interview and a whole list will come up. But again, when it comes to weaknesses, we're very picky because we don't want to make ourselves look bad. But I'm going to tell you guys the ones that you want to always use, because you can always flip them around to be a strength. So the very first strength that you want to mention is that you are a hard worker. Every director, clinical manager, everyone wants someone who is willing to work hard. They don't want to hire anyone who's lazy, right? Easy. Next one you want to say is that you're a team player. Of course, nursing is kind of a team job. If you need help, you're willing to ask for help. If someone else needs help, you're willing to give a helping hand. So team player, easy. Now for the third one, which I think is really important, you want to mention that you're able to accept constructive criticism. And the reason why I say this is because usually during your 3-month or your 6-month mark, it just depends on the hospital, you're going to have like an evaluation. Your manager is going to sit you down and tell you, you need to improve on this. And the last thing that they want to do is hire someone who is upset because I'm telling you that you need to be on time, You want to let them know that you are a person who is able to accept constructive criticism. You are not going to get upset if someone tells you like, hey, you did this wrong. Now, of course, there is a difference between constructive criticism and then you just being, just plain out rude. So they want to know that you are able to accept that you may not be doing something 100%, great, but you're able to look at it as a learning moment and something that you can improve on. Now, moving on to weaknesses. Like I said, this is the hardest one to always, choose an answer because you don't want to make yourself look bad. So the very first one that you want to say on your nursing interview is that you are very detailed oriented. And the reason why this is great is because as a nurse, we want to be extremely detail oriented. We want to make sure things are being done right. But this can also be a con or weakness because you spend a lot of time making sure things are perfect. So that's what I mean. You want to make sure your weaknesses can be turned into strengths. Being detail oriented is great because you want to make sure you are getting your I's and O's perfect, they're on point, but at the same time it can be a weakness because it will make you spend a lot of time just focusing on the fine details. So you can easily turn that into a strength and say, I try now to focus on the big picture and make sure I'm getting things done in a timely fashion. Perfect. So the second one that you want to say is lack of experience, especially if you are a new grad nurse. That is easy. That of course is a weakness because this is our very first job. I'm not coming to you with a ton of experience like someone else who may be interviewing, but it's because I'm a new grad nurse. It's not really my fault that I'm just now graduating, So you can also say, to turn it into a strength, is that I'm open to learn. I'm ready to learn. I want to be a sponge and soak up everything that I'm just ready to be hands-on. So those two are great weaknesses that you can easily turn into strengths. Once you state those weaknesses, always turn them into strengths. Don't just leave that answer open. Tell them, I have lack of experience, but I'm ready to learn. I'm very detail oriented, but that's a great quality as a nurse because I want to make sure everything is correct when it comes to charting. So always, always, always turn those weaknesses into strengths. That's how you get to them. So the next question that you may be asked during your nursing interview is, why you? We are interviewing 18 other people. Why are you so special? That's what they want to know. This is the time to y'all play your own guitar, okay? I want y'all to sing like a bird. Go back to all your strengths. I'm a hard worker, I'm a team player, I'm reliable. There is nothing better than a person that when I say I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be there. So reliable. My ethics and values align with the hospital, and this is why you always want to do research on your hospital. And I'm going to get into another question that this will play into. So this is what I mean. You guys want to have this story toolbox that you're just pulling because you're ready for the questions that they're going to ask you. So my ethics and values align with the hospital. Go ahead and state the hospital's mission. You guys are big on compassionate care. I'm a compassionate person. You really want to, again, sing like a bird. Tell them why you are the perfect candidate. This is the time to literally show your confidence. This is the time to show that you are the best fit for this position, because again, they may be very well interviewing other people that want that L&D position, that want that ER position. So you want to show them that you are the best of the best of the best. Two other great qualities that you can mention that I definitely mentioned was that, again, I'm ready to learn. Being in the ER, it's very fast paced. You want to tell them I work great under pressure. You may also want to mention that you're flexible. You guys know we are very short staffed now all across the world. Tell them that you're flexible. If your schedule changed, you understand. Y'all, I was in there harping, okay? I was showing them that I want this position and I'm the best of the best that's going to sit in this chair, and I want this job. So that's what I need you guys to do. The next question that I got was, how well are you with schedule changes? Now, this is something that I kind of just, mentioned in the last question, but you want to pretty much state that you're flexible. So even if you do have kids, I personally would not mention if you have a family at home, because although they're not supposed to judge you on these type of things, that you have children, that you have a husband or a wife at home, you may not want to mention those things because we want the job, right? So with this question, you want to show that you're as flexible as possible. I personally said I understand that we are short-staffed and I understand that my schedule may change. I'm open to changes. I'm very flexible. Leave it at that. That's the best answer that you can respond with. Moving on to question number 7. The next question that I personally received was, how well do you handle stress? Again, you guys, with these questions, they want to see your personality. They want to see how you can problem solve. So my personal response to this question was, I am very well with separating my personal life and my work life. And if I'm having a bad day at home, I will not bring it into, the workspace. And once I leave work at work and I go home. With this question, they want to make sure you are able to balance your personal life and your work life. So let it be known, when you come to work, you're at work. And when you go home, you're at home. They want to make sure you are able to differentiate and separate the two. So that is the best response when it comes to how do you handle, work stress and things like that. You handle it at work, you keep it at work, and when you go home, you're at home. You can also mention a few things that you like to do to, de-stress. Again, you guys, this is not 100% about your personal life, but it is good to throw some personal things in there. So when I got that question, I simply said, I like to, make sure I get massages. I like to meditate. So that's the time to throw some personal things in. You don't want to just hit them with all personal stuff and they're like, okay, we got to keep this professional. We don't really care. But with a question like this, you can definitely mention that you like to meditate. I do. I definitely told them that I make sure I, get a massage at least once a month. They want to make sure that you're able to take care of yourself because they know that nursing can be so stressful. They want to make sure that you know that self-care is the best care. So I did mention I like to meditate. I like to get massages. I like to go to the beach. So again, you can mention a little personal things here and there, but definitely make sure that you're answering their questions and you're pulling out of your story toolbox. So the next question that I got was, tell us about a time that you demonstrated teamwork. They want to make sure you are a hands-on team player. So if you have experience in the hospital, try to pull an experience, a story from the hospital. And if you can link it to the floor that you want to work on, that is chef's kiss. So my response to this was, I remember I was in a cold, and although I was a nurse extern, I wanted to help. So even if that included grabbing the crash cart or grabbing, the AccuCheck so we can check the blood sugar, I wanted to make sure I was able to help. And I was even able to do chest compressions for the first time. And my team, they were cheering me on. Everyone was counting out loud for me. So you want to show that you are very hands-on. And you guys, this is a true story. That was a story that I did chest compressions for the first time. And although I didn't choose to work on my original floor, which was neuro step down, I absolutely loved everyone upstairs, the charge nurse, all my nurses, because they were literally cheering me on. They knew that this was the first time that I was ever doing chest compressions, and I was scared when they were like, okay, we need the next person in line. I was very hesitant, but my team members, they were like, you got this. And I went ahead and I went in, and everybody was like, you're doing a good job. So you want to tell them about a time that you were helping someone. You probably saw someone drowning in the deep end. You saw that they needed some help with one of their patients. Maybe you asked them, could you help by just grabbing an AccuCheck? That may seem very simple to you, but to them it's taking one more task off their to-do list. So again, if you have the experience in the hospital, try and pull an experience from the hospital. And if you have something that's pertinent to that floor, then definitely go for it. That CPR story was perfect for the ER, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of cold blues in the ER, and they're gonna see that I'm not afraid to hop in. I'm not gonna freeze up. So definitely choose a story along those lines. All right, you guys, so we're almost done, I promise. The next question that I got asked was, tell me about a time that you weren't sure what to do. Now, the underlying question that they want to know is, what do you do when you're unsure about something? You want to show them that you're not cocky and you know to ask for help, or to ask questions. I can't remember exactly what story I shared, but I can think of one right now. I remember I was putting in an NG tube for the first time. This was as a nurse extern. I was with another nurse, and she pulled me and she said, hey, do you want to watch me put in the NG tube? Y'all know me, I said yes. So I went into the room with the nurse, and she was like, okay, you can go ahead and do it yourself. I'm in the room, I'll supervise. So I remember not remembering exactly where to measure, because that was my very first time putting in an NG tube on a real patient. So I was like, so do you go from here or here or here? Now I know you go from the nose, ear, down to the sternum, add 10 inches, but I wasn't sure. And that is the perfect time to ask the question, because the last thing you want to do is harm the patient. So if you are unsure about a hospital policy, if you're unsure about a skill, grab help. That's what they want to hear. They want to hear that you know what to do when you're unsure, instead of just going ahead and doing it and realizing, oh wait, I think I did that wrong, or oh wait, that's not the real hospital policy. That's what they want to know. So they want to know that you're not cocky and you know to ask for help. So the very last question that I got asked to close out the interview was, where do you see yourself in 3 years? And they want to know exactly, if we invest all this education into you, which they were, because again, I was signing onto a residency program. If we invest all of this education into you, what do you plan on doing with it? So they want to see that your plan is to stay at the hospital. Even if you choose not to, girl or boy, they want to hear that. They want to hear that you plan on staying there and pretty much moving up the ladder. So my response was, in 3 years, I plan to be here, hopefully, precepting new nurses, maybe even a charge nurse. When I tell you guys, her face was like, her and the nurse that was interviewing me, because remember I told you guys I got tag team. Like, one would ask me a question and then the other one would ask me a question. They were literally tag teaming me. So when my response was that, they both like looked at each other and they were like, okay, that's what they want to hear. They want to hear that you plan on staying at the hospital if they invest all of that education and money into you. They want to hear that you plan on staying there and moving up that chain. So I plan on being here, hopefully precepting, new nurses, maybe even a charge nurse. Girl or boy, butter them up. Okay, you want to butter them up when it comes to this question. So you guys, that is going to go ahead and conclude today's video. I hope this video helped in some way. You guys want to make sure you are preparing for your interview. Don't just go in there blindsided. Of course you are preparing if you're watching this video, but watch other interview question videos. Go onto Google and look at, you know, common questions that you may get asked. You want to make sure you are prepared and you have your story toolbox. You also want to make sure you are doing research on your hospital itself, because they may ask you, why here? Why do you want to work here? And that is the perfect time to pull that hospital's mission statement about being compassionate and, you know, things about care. You want to pull that. Also, if your hospital is a magnet hospital, or let's say they're top 50 hospitals in America, or they're best known for their neuroscience and you are wanting to work on a neuro floor, they will be so impressed with you. So make sure you are going into these interviews prepared. That was also something that I mentioned to them. I told them that, hey, we are one of the top 50 hospitals in America. We are best known for our neuroscience, and I want to work in the ER because we'll see, you know, a lot of stroke patients. A lot of patients want to come to my hospital because we have a cath lab. We have everything. We're a trauma hospital. So you definitely not only want to, you know, harp on yourself, but also harp on the hospital and tell them why you want to work at that facility. So you have to go in there being prepared and knowing the answers to that question. A few other tips include having a fire resume. Make sure you guys are updating your resume. I want you guys to put the best of the best on there. If you got top 10% in your school, I want you to put that on there. Of course, if you were on the board, let's say you were the president of your nursing program, I want you guys to have as many details on your resume as possible. Make your resume look good, okay? Also, make sure you have a cover letter, and after the interview, consider writing a thank you email or writing a thank you note. That is one way that they will remember you. They'll be like, oh wow, she or he stood out because no one else just wrote thank you for interviewing me or thank you for your time. That will stick you out from the rest. And last but not least, you want to assert yourself and be confident. Don't be cocky, but you definitely want to be confident. They do not want someone who is shy and timid. They want someone that knows their worth. You know that you're a nurse and you're able to provide care. Even if you do lack experience as a new grad, you still have the license, you have the skills, maybe not all of them, but through education, you're able to execute and be that nurse. So you definitely want to go in there and be confident, hold your head up high, pull your shoulders back. You want to smile even through your mask, because you can tell if someone's smiling just with their eyes. So smile with your eyes and assert yourself in that position. You want to say, I am this nurse, I am an ER nurse, I am an L&D nurse. Put yourself already in that position and have that confidence. But of course, do not be cocky. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have not already, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button and join the Golden family. Again, you will love it over here. I post a whole bunch of videos pertaining to nursing and other things like that. I do dabble into some beauty. Whatever I feel like doing, I turn the camera on and I post it, okay? So make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also, give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if it has helped you in any type of way. If you watched this video and you went on your interview and got the job, please comment down below, because that's gonna be like the best comments in the world. If you watch this video and you be like, Dom, girl, I got asked that question and I pulled out of my story toolbox. So comment down below if you went on an interview, you got the job. I would love to hear your experience. And also be sure to share. You guys, we're all new grad students, so another new grad nurse would love a video like this. They could definitely use it, and you know, just get prepared for an upcoming interview. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.
I like me better when I was yours.